27 huge red flags for the U.S. economy. If you believe that the U.S. economy is heading in the right direction, you really need to read this article. As we look toward the second half of 2014, there are economic red flags all over the place. Industrial production is down, home sales are way down, retail stores are closing at the fastest pace since the collapse of Lehman Brothers, U.S. household debt is up substantially, and in 20% of all U.S. families, everyone is unemployed. In so many ways, what we are witnessing right now is so similar to what we experienced during the buildup to the last great financial crisis. We are making so many of the very same mistakes that we made the last time, and yet our leaders seem completely oblivious to what is happening. But the warning signs are very clear. All you have to do is open your eyes and look at them. So here are the red flags. Despite endless assurances from the Obama administration that we are in an economic recovery, the number one concern for U.S. voters is unemployment and jobs, according to a recent Gallup survey. Historically, sales for construction equipment manufacturer Caterpillar have been a pretty good indicator of where the global economy is heading next. Unfortunately, sales were down 13% last month and have now experienced year-over-year declines for 17 months in a row. During the first quarter of 2014, profits at office supply giant Staples fell by 43.5%. Foot traffic at Walmart stores fell by 1.4% during the first quarter of 2014. Analysts seem puzzled as to why Walmart is underperforming. Perhaps it's because the U.S. middle class is being steadily destroyed and U.S. consumers are tapped out at this point. All of the red lettering are links to other articles. It is being projected that Sears will soon close hundreds more stores and will eventually go out of business altogether. The company said this week that it may sell its 51% stake in Sears Canada, which operates nearly 20% of the company's stores worldwide. It has quietly closed nearly 100 U.S. stores in the last year. Quietly closed. There are quiet closings of stores and companies going on throughout the country. Quietly, because the Obama administration tells mainstream media to report that the economy is recovering. So it's got to be hush hush. They have too many stores and they're losing a lot of money burning cash. It is expected that the Sears to close 500 of its 1,980 U.S. stores in a few years, ultimately to go out of business. And the lights are going off at Sears and Kmart. Kmart is basically completely irrelevant. The labor force participation rate for Americans from the age of 25 to the age of 29 has fallen to an all-time record low. According to official government numbers, everyone is unemployed in 20% of all American families. As families struggle to pay their bills, many of them are increasingly turning to debt in order to make ends meet. Earlier this month, we learned that the total U.S. household debt has increased for 3 quarters in a row. And as I noted in one recent article, total consumer credit in the United States has increased by 22% over the past 3 years, and 56% of all Americans have subprime credit at this point. Interest rates on student loans are scheduled to increase substantially on July 1. As of July 1, federal student loan rates will edge up. Rates overall will be up 0.8% compared to current rates. That's federal Stafford loans for undergraduate, graduate, and graduate plus, and federal parent plus loans. They're all going up, which will put more pressure on the growing student loan debt bubble. U.S. industrial production fell by 0.6% in April. This should not be happening if the economy is recovering. Manufacturing job openings in the United States have declined for 4 months in a row. Existing home sales have fallen. Excuse me. Existing home sales have fallen for 7 of the last 8 months and seem to be repeating a pattern that we witnessed back in 2007, prior to the last financial crash. In the real estate bubble market of Phoenix, sales in April were down 12% year over year, and active inventory was up 49% year over year. In other words, there are tons of homes on the market, but sales are going down. The home ownership rate in the United States has dropped to the lowest level in 19 years. Trading revenue at big banks all over the Western world is way down. Last Friday, it was JP Morgan who said trading revenues will be down 20% this quarter. Barclays says trading revenues in the first 3 months were down 41%. The company cited challenging trading conditions resulting in subdued client activity. Like JP Morgan, Barclays also warned they were seeing no improvement in trading in the second quarter. Jan Loeys, JP Morgan's head of global asset allocation, is warning that the Federal Reserve is creating a huge financial bubble which could push us into a credit crisis. You can click on the link below to read more details about that indicator. Peter Bhakvar, the chief market analyst at the Lindsay Group, is warning that the U.S. stock market could experience a 20% decline once quantitative easing completely ends. A lot of other big names are telling CNBC that they expect a significant stock market correction very soon as well. A bevy of high-profile names have warned lately that the market is on the doorstep of a major move lower. From long-term market bulls such as Piper Jaffray and short-term traders such as Dennis Gartman, expectations are high that the major averages are poised for a big dip, with calls varying from 10% all the way up to 25%. The number of Americans enrolled in Social Security disability programs exceed the entire population of the nation of Greece and has just hit another brand new record high. Poverty continues to grow all over the country, and right now 49 million Americans are dealing with food insecurity. According to Pew Charitable Trust, tax revenue in 26 U.S. states is still lower than it was back in 2008, even though tax rates have gone up in many areas since then. Barack Obama is doing his best to keep his promise to destroy the U.S. coal industry. The EPA is about to impose a new regulation that will reduce carbon emissions from existing power plants starting June 2nd and will become permanent in 2015. The new regulation, according to Politico, is the most dramatic anti-pollution regulation in a generation, because the new regulation will further cripple the coal industry. That's the point. As coal-burning plants will be severely affected, American power will become more dependent on natural gas, solar, and wind. Climatologists are now saying that the state of Texas is going through the worst period of drought that it has experienced in 500 years. Pretty amazing, considering that the state of Texas has its own weather modification program and can create rain. It is being reported that dozens of Texas communities are less than 90 days away from being completely out of water. It is being projected that the drought in California will cost the agricultural industry $1.7 billion, and that approximately 14,500 agricultural workers will lose their jobs. And drought, why do we have drought? We can create rain. Weather modification, it exists. So, what is this about? Well, it's deliberate. It is being due in part to the drought. The price of meat rose at the fastest pace in more than 10 years last month. And according to recent surveys, only about a quarter of all Americans believe that the country is heading in the right direction. I'll link below to the article.